I would just say patience. It hasn't, because we knew these ETFs were launching. Trading desks build up inventory in the run up to this period and they're ready to sell it. It's not one for one. Money doesn't come in and price goes up the next day. If we see, billions of dollars of inflows, it's going to push the price of ETH up to new all-time highs. I think there'll be enough demand for these ETH ETFs to push it up to all-time highs and then get through that sale wall. I think that's how much demand there is. If that happens, I don't know where it goes above that. So the thing I'm confident or feel confident about is we'll get, 5,000 or so this year if we see strong inflows. And in Bitcoin, you have miners that are forced to sell because they have hard costs. And so every day you have to buy a certain amount of Bitcoin to keep it here. In ETH, you don't have any forced sellers. No one has to sell ETH. And the result is flows, you just don't start in a hole, you start level. So $100 million had to buy ETH yesterday from people who didn't have to sell, who would only sell if they want to. And that just means, particularly if we get a bullish market.
Hougan starts by addressing the anticipation surrounding Ethereum ETF. He notes that trading desks have built up inventory in preparation for the ETF launches, which has led to an initial period of stabilization rather than immediate price spikes. However, he firmly believes that significant inflows into these ETF will ultimately drive Ethereum's price to new all-time highs by the end of the year. He emphasizes the importance of supply and demand dynamics, pointing out that any surge to an all-time high will likely encounter substantial selling pressure from those looking to capitalize on their gains. Yet, Hougan is confident that the demand generated by these ETF will be robust enough to surpass these sell walls. Hougan starts by addressing the anticipation surrounding Ethereum ETF. He notes that trading desks have built up inventory in preparation for the ETF launches, which has led to an initial period of stabilization rather than immediate price spikes. However, he firmly believes that significant inflows into these ETF will ultimately drive Ethereum's price to new all-time highs by the end of the year. He emphasizes the importance of supply and demand dynamics, pointing out that any surge to an all-time high will likely encounter substantial selling pressure from those looking to capitalize on their gains. Yet, Hougan is confident that the demand generated by these ETF will be robust enough to surpass these sell walls. Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
I would just say patience. It hasn't, because we knew these ETFs were launching. Trading desks build up inventory in the run up to this period and they're ready to sell it. It's not one for one. Money doesn't come in and price goes up the next day. But I can guarantee you, if there's not guarantee, compliance says I can't guarantee anything. I believe that if we see, billions of dollars of inflows, it's going to push the price of ETH up to new all-time highs. I have a above new all-time highs price prediction by the end of the year. The reason it's that vague is in short-term price, I think what matters is supply and demand. And I think there's significant sale pressure at any all-time high, right? When we get to an all-time high, there will just be people who want to sell. We've seen that in Bitcoin, we'll see that in ETH. I think there'll be enough demand for these ETH ETFs to push it up to all-time highs and then get through that sale wall. I think that's how much demand there is. If that happens, I don't know where it goes above that. So the thing I'm confident or feel confident about is we'll get, 5,000 or so this year if we see strong inflows, and who knows above that. Man, if we did $1 billion in the first month, that would be outrageous. Even if we did half of that, it would be really significant.
So 500 million to $1 billion in inflows, in net inflows, would be the A to A plus rate.
That is right. Yeah, because you got to remember money's going to come out of ETH, so it has to be net flows. But yeah, if we can do that, it's a home run. It's a home run. Yeah, I think this idea of price impact on flows is really important. People ask questions about that all the time. Some of them are obvious, right? Net inflation rate of ETH is 0. So the same amount of flows is going to have a larger impact than it did on Bitcoin. A significant portion of the ETH market is locked up and therefore not available for sale. It's like not in the public float. It's staked, it's used in DeFi assets, it's bridged to layer 2s. That's you get to 40-45% of the market that's just not available. The thing that I think is really powerful, which isn't well understood, is that middle one, which is this difference between proof of work and proof of stake. The way I think of the market is there are two types of people. There are people who are forced to sell and people who sell if they want. And in Bitcoin, you have miners that are forced to sell because they have hard costs. And so every day you have to buy a certain amount of Bitcoin to keep it here. In ETH, you don't have any forced sellers. No one has to sell ETH. And the result is flows, you just don't start in a hole, you start level. So $100 million had to buy ETH yesterday from people who didn't have to sell, who would only sell if they want to. And that just means, particularly if we get a bullish market, if the market is going up and people are disinclined to sell their ETH, it's going to be hard for ETFs to find ETH to buy. I mean, we will, of course. I don't mean they're illiquid. Of course you can, but you're going to have to chase up price. And I think it's a really big deal. I think it's going to become apparent if we see strong inflows. I would say better than expectations. These new ETH ETFs traded over $1 billion. We had positive inflows despite significant outflows from ETH. We saw over $200 million of inflows here at Bitwise. There's a chance that these things, came into the market, no big response. That's what we saw with ETH futures. That's not the world we're living in. We learned yesterday that people want ETH exposure in an ETF. It was a great day. Let me put on my ETF hat and then I'll put on my crypto hat because it depends which perspective you're looking at. So just to level set for the non-ETF experts, the average ETF trades about $1 million in its first day.
So this is we got over $1 billion.
Yeah, this is 1,000-fold better, right? That's pretty phenomenal. I think it's the second biggest debut of any ETF in history. There have been 5,500 ETFs that have launched, covering stocks, bonds, countries, sectors, etc. No, ETH was the second best of all time. That sounds pretty good. It's only from the lens of the Bitcoin ETF, which was absolutely historic, first in its class, $4.6 billion in volume, that it's, maybe only an A. But this was a great debut. It says a lot of good things about where this is going. This is probably obvious to everyone out there, but there's a big difference between trading volume and inflows.
Yes.
A product launches, people can trade it back and forth, but that doesn't mean money is coming in. We had, $590 million come into the new ETFs. That's a very, very lot. And even if you adjust out for the money that came out of ETH, it was north of $100 million. That's a great day. I mean, that's $100 million that didn't own ETH yesterday and owns it today. Let's extrapolate that out for, a year. Not that we'll continue at that pace, but extrapolate like net new buyers coming into the market. It's really significant.
Hougan shifts his focus to the broader technological significance of Ethereum. He argues that Ethereum is the foundational platform for many of the most exciting developments in the crypto space, including tokenization, stablecoins, DeFi, and NFTs. For investors interested in these areas, owning Ethereum is essential. He draws a parallel with traditional technology investments, suggesting that just as investors include AI, biotech, and semiconductors in their portfolios, they should also include Ethereum. This analogy helps traditional investors understand the critical role of Ethereum in the evolving digital economy. Hougan advises investors to diversify their crypto holdings by owning both Bitcoin and Ethereum. He acknowledges the different narratives surrounding each asset, Bitcoin as digital gold and Ethereum as a technology platform, but emphasizes the importance of having exposure to both. This diversified approach allows investors to benefit from the unique strengths and growth potential of each asset. Hougan is optimistic about Ethereum's long-term prospects, driven by its central role in the most innovative sectors of the crypto industry.
I think there are two big factors at work. One is Bitwise. I think we executed well. We've been in this market for 7 years, building relationships. We had good media and advertising campaign. We did an extensive amount of media yesterday. We did things like the public donation program to ETH developers. We published our ETH addresses. We gave them ENS domain names. The other piece of it, though, really goes to the community, because the lane that Bitwise is in is we are the crypto native ETF issuer in this space, right? BlackRock is a big traditional asset manager with a huge brand. So is Fidelity. We're crypto native. I think what we learned yesterday was that resonates with a lot of people, right? People want someone who's going to embrace what crypto can do from a transparency perspective. It's going to donate back to the ecosystem. So it's a victory for Bitwise, but it's also a victory, I think, for the crypto community, showing that it recognizes and wants there to be a crypto native asset manager. We happen to be that horse. That is right. I want to stop on that NVIDIA thing, because I know it's a fantasy, but I think it's actually true. I've been telling professional investors every time I meet with them that if you're investing in technology and you don't have ETH, you're missing a portion of the market. Look at the smartest tech investors in the world. Look at venture capitalists. They invest in AI, they invest in chips, they invest in biotech, and they invest in crypto and blockchain. If you only have the Qs and you don't have ETH, you're missing what some of the smartest investors in the world say is one of the most important areas of technology. So I don't think it's a pipe dream. I think you are going to see people sell some NVIDIA and buy some ETH just so they have tech covered. I note that Bitcoin went through a number of narratives, right? It cycled through as well. So this is part of the process. What we find that's working best is it's a technology platform that most of the interesting applications in crypto are built on. If you're interested in tokenization, it's built on Ethereum. If you're interested in stablecoins, issued on Ethereum. If you're interested in DeFi, most of that is built on Ethereum. DePIN, NFTs, etc. It is the fundamental platform for sort of rewiring the internet. And if you want to invest in tokenization or stablecoins or the growth of DeFi or the growth of NFTs, you need to own some Ethereum. And I think that really resonates with investors. The other thing that really resonates with investors is you just want to be diversified, right? You just want to own crypto, own some Bitcoin, and own some ETH. And I recognize there are flaws with both of those analyses. The tech platform doesn't talk about ETH moneyness, which I think is very real and a very big part of the story. But that's probably a second or third meeting. The first meeting is, Bitcoin, digital gold, ETH technology platform. For what? For all these things that you read about in the news. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. We're over double expectations. And also, I can't stress how important this is. Even for someone inside the industry, there was a chance you get to the starting line and it just fizzles. There's 50 million, there's $100 million in trading volume. You don't know for sure. And so we completely removed that negative case and we ended up on a very good case. We did 86% of the inflows that Bitcoin ETFs did on day one on a net basis.
Hougan concludes by reflecting on the initial skepticism surrounding the Ethereum ETF launches. He admits that there was a possibility the launches could underperform, but the impressive trading volumes and net inflows have dispelled those doubts. Bitwise's Ethereum ETF achieved 86% of the inflows that Bitcoin ETF did on their first day, a remarkable feat that underscores the strong demand for Ethereum. Hougan believes this success marks a significant milestone for Ethereum and sets the stage for continued growth and adoption. Please like and subscribe my channel.